Hello and welcome to the Appalachian Center at Southeast Community College. I'm the director of the Appalachian program, Robert Gipe, and this is our training video for tour guides produced in anticipation of the 1999 Tri-Cities Grand Reunion. We're in the main lobby of the Appalachian Center. Behind me on the wall are a series of small sampler quilts produced by David Appalachian Crafts in Floyd County, Kentucky, as well as some prints from the Appalachian Archive collection. These quilts are a part of the permanent collection of the college. Southeast Community College is, as far as we know, the only community college in the state of Kentucky with an archives and with a collection of art and artifacts of the kind you'll see on your tour today. Also hanging in the open space as you come in the front door are some full-size quilts from our collection. I wish I had this information to hand, but I'm quite sure that the quilt on the right, the pink one with the blue and black on it, was actually done by a male quilter here in the area. We have several quilts by men from the area. Quilting, of course, primarily is an art practiced by women in the mountains. All the quilts in our collection here are from traditional patterns, by and large made of cotton or other natural materials. And the quilt collection has really been a pet project or a favorite project of the president of the college, Bruce Ayers. He's been very open to the college acquiring quilts in a traditional Appalachian style, and we have about 40 quilts in our collection. Also throughout the building here, you'll see display cases featuring dulcimers, either made by Al Cornett, a local resident, or under his instruction. Al is a retired employee of Arch of Kentucky. Used to work with the coal mines and is now turned his woodworking specifically to the making of dulcimers. The dulcimer is an instrument that's been played a long time in the mountains. It has sort of a complicated history. It's not crystal clear whether it was something played by the original white settlers or was introduced from outside of the white culture in the early days of the 19th century, but it is safe to say that it has been played a long time in the area and has come to be identified with the Appalachian area. And so we have a couple of fine examples here of one of them that would seem to be a courting dulcimer, so-called because two people could play it at once, one on either side. And if you're courting, it afforded ample opportunities for knees to knock together and for people to be relatively close in a socially sanctioned way. Stepping over this way, you'll see another display of dulcimers, but also some a fiddle and a mandolin in this case. And again, these were, I'm not sure about the fiddle and the mandolin, but the rest were made here in the area. A lot of the educational material that you see alongside the instruments was produced here at the college. We recently did an exhibit on the mountain dulcimer and how it's taken from a tree to a fully completed dulcimer, and that's probably a nice lead into a quick tour of the Appalachian Center Gallery right this way. Currently, the exhibit on display in the Center Gallery is called, as you can see, Portraits of Appalachia. These photographs are all taken by students in the University of Kentucky Robinson Scholars Program, as coordinated by a program person based here at Southeast Community College, Paula Whitaker. The UK Robinson Scholars Program is a program that takes money generated by mining of the Robinson Forest in eastern Kentucky and uses some of the money generated by that activity to pay for scholarships to the University of Kentucky for eastern Kentucky students who are first-generation college students. And the Robinson Forest is owned by the University of Kentucky, and so the scholarship fund is set up to send students to the University of Kentucky. They take between 2 and 4 students from about 29 eastern Kentucky counties every year as they complete their 8th grade year, and then provide enrichment and academic support activities for those students through their high school years. And then when they're ready to go to college, they can go to the University of Kentucky with all tuition, books, lodging, and other expenses, including spending money, all paid for them. It's a free ride to the University of Kentucky. As part of their preparation for getting ready to go to college, students in the Robinson Scholar programs that are currently in the 9th and 10th grade have been engaged in a formal documentation project of their own communities. One of the efforts of the project is to help raise self-esteem and self-awareness on the part of these students. And one of the tools that Paula Whitaker, as coordinator of the program, has been using is to get the students involved in documenting where they live, where they're from, as a way of helping them understand a little better the culture out of which they come, the thought being to give them a strong base in who they are as they're sent out into the world. So let's take a peek, shall we? It's open, right this way. Let me get the lights for you. Okay, as you can see on the walls here, we have a number of photographs. The Appalachian Center Gallery is host to 8 to 10 exhibits a year. We try to have something up at all times except when we're changing exhibits. In the past year, we've seen several remarkable exhibits, I think. We try to mix it up between artists from inside the Southeast Community College service area and from outside, but in the past year, for the past year and a half, we've had a collection of pocket knives from our collection. We have over 2,100 pocket knives in the Southeast Community College collection. I'll tell you some more about that a little later. We had an exhibit of paintings and carved ships by Basil Townsend, a Nova Scotia native who's been living here in Harlan County for the past couple of decades. It was his first ever formal exhibit of his work. We had Richmond watercolor artist Pat Banks do an exhibit here. She's a Kentucky Arts Council roster artist, and what that means is she's eligible for grants from the Arts Council to do workshops and artist residencies in communities. And in conjunction with her exhibit here, she did some workshops in watercolors for art students and others who are interested in our community. Annually, we have an exhibit of from the African American community that we try to have up in January and February to coincide with the Martin Luther King Civil Rights Holiday and also Black History Month, and that began as a project in the Appalachian Studies class here at the college. A student mounted the first exhibit, and then the community has rallied to keep it going, and January, February 2000 will be the 3rd year of that exhibit. But let's take a quick look around at the work that's here now. All of the pictures in the exhibit were taken by 9th and 10th grade students in southeastern Kentucky. The 9 counties that 9 of the 29 counties in the Robinson Scholars Program are coordinated out of Southeast Community College, and so you can look at the signs and see which of the counties are involved with us. Obviously Harlan and Letcher and Whitley, Knox, several others, but it's a remarkable exhibit. The students have been working with experienced photographers to work on things like framing and composition of frame and various other critical aspects of photography. So feel free to look around, take your time, and I'll meet you out in the hall. probably should mention that all of the exhibits that on display in the gallery, or almost all of them, we mount the exhibits ourselves, and that we have facilities for working with framing, working with matting, making the accompanying signage. That the center, the center here was built or opened in the early 1990s, and it was designed to give this part of Harlan County and this part of southeastern Kentucky a facility where people could take a bigger hand in producing their own artworks and producing their own access to art that's done in the area, but then also a place to bring in artists from other places. So we also have an archival collection, and we have facilities to process those collections, which is a big help in doing things. One of the biggest collections we have, and one of the ones that with the most involved in collection maintenance and processing, is the artwork of Dr. James Golden. Dr. Golden was a Bell County resident, a practicing physician in the town of Pineville, Kentucky, very near to Cumberland Gap. And as a surgeon, I assumed that there was a fair amount of stress in Dr. Golden's life, and the way that he released that stress was through the creation of art. And he was actually fairly learned in folk arts of different cultures, but he was also a gardener, a naturalist, a great taker of pictures of local flora and fauna, of local plants and animals. And you can see that all of these influences reflected in his artwork. So what you see in the two cases here and elsewhere in the Dr. Golden collection are works actually made by Dr. Golden himself. These were not pieces that he bought from other artists, but these are actually the fruits of his own imagination and environment. So you can see in this case, of course, one of his primary media was the gourd, and he grew most of his own gourds and then would add other objects to them to make mostly animals, both real and imagined. Another centerpiece of the Southeast Community College art and cultural collections is the industrial photography that came from Benham and Lynch, and which is displayed prominently throughout the building on the wooden rails that run through the hallways. Everyone that visits the Appalachian Center is encouraged to just roam through the building, to look through all the hallways, because every place that has open access has this photography on the walls. So you're encouraged to take a look at it. The wall you're looking at right here, you'll notice that the pictures are numbered, and they start with number 1 right here, 2, 3, 4. Then picture number 5 goes upstairs, and you can follow the sequence through the halls up there. And so the first 70-odd photographs are from the collection of the International Harvester Company and are of the construction of Benham. Benham and Lynch, as most of our visitors this weekend will know for the Tri-Cities Grand Reunion, were towns that were built almost all at once by major consumers of coal. International Harvester Company in the case of Benham, and United States Steel in the case of Lynch, so that these companies could control their own coal supply for the making of steel. And so these towns were built right around World War I. Benham was completed just before World War I, and Lynch was completed just after World War I. And these were company towns, wholly owned and operated by the companies who controlled the coal that came out of the mines in these towns. And they were some of the biggest coal camps built during this period, which was the period of rapid expansion in coal mining in southern Appalachia, and the time of widespread, big quantities of boom towns all throughout the region. And in part because these were built to be model coal towns, to show what big business could do when it set its mind to it. They were rigorously documented. There are photographs galore, thousands and thousands of images, all of them on 8x10 glass plate negatives, done by professional photographers. Sometimes I think photographers also worked as surveyors and engineers in the laying out of the town. But they documented the building of the town from the ground up, including some photographs before the town was built. And so that's the story of these two sets of photographs. Benham starts here and goes upstairs, and then Lynch covers the rest of the downstairs area. And it's a fascinating exhibit if you're interested in the architecture. It's also a fascinating exhibit if you're interested in the social life of a company-controlled town. In our case here, before we move on, we have a few works of art by Basil Townsend, who is the artist from Nova Scotia living in Pansy or Gulston, Kentucky. We see some of his carved duck decoys, bottle paintings, and a gourd made into a goose. These are by a different artist than Dr. Golden, whose cases are off to the right of these. This lovely watercolor was done by Jeff Chapman Crane, an artist who lives in Eola, which is in Letcher County, in the upper reaches of the Cumberland River between Cumberland and Whitesburg. Jeff and his wife, Charmin Chapman Crane, operate the Valley of the Winds Art Gallery, and that's also in Eola, and I think Eola is a Cherokee word for Valley of the Winds. That's the name of the gallery. And Jeff is an accomplished watercolorist and gouache painter, and I think he also does some tempera work. He has extensive gallery sales in New York City, but he also sells a lot of paintings locally, and he's one of the cultural jewels of our area. This particular painting is a view from the Little Shepherd Trail on the crest of Pine Mountain, the second highest mountain in Kentucky after Black Mountain, and it's looking down into the Line Fork area, if I'm not mistaken. Yeah. So there you have it. Why don't we take a walk down the halls here and let you enjoy some more of the photographs. And I'll show you some of the areas backstage that people may or may not have an opportunity to go into, but just so you can kind of tell them what is where. Right this way. I'll tell you a little about this picture. This is a picture of a view up Gap Branch, kind of in Upper Lynch, that'll be familiar to a lot of people. And this image right here was used by the Kentucky History Center, and I haven't seen it yet, but they used this image and blew it up wall size, from what I hear, in an exhibit on coal camp life. And the Kentucky History Center is the new state history museum in Frankfort, and so we were very excited that one of the pictures from Lynch in the Southeast Community College collection will be used and seen by every school kid in Kentucky from now until the end of time. Why don't we go take a quick peek through this storage area? We generally don't open this area up to the public because, as most people understand, with archival collections, you want to stabilize them, you want to get them in a safe place, and you want to handle them no more than is necessary. And so things that aren't on public display, we keep them in here. Across through here, and then back through these two sets of shelves here, all of that is Dr. Golden's artwork. And so you begin to get a feel for the range of his expression, that he goes far beyond gourds. He goes far beyond any natural materials. You see milk jugs and buoys and beads and pieces of glass and egg cartons and coconut shells and all manner of objects made into art. Dr. Golden was also one of America's foremost pocket knife collectors. It was said at one time that he almost had to shut down his doctor's office because the word was out that he was willing to buy any functional pocket knife that anybody would come to sell him. And what I've heard is that the going price was around $20. And so this created a great outlet for people looking to unload older pocket knives. And so he bought a lot of them. He ended up with about 2,100, as well as older knives. There's some 16th century Spanish knives and other kind of exotic cutlery in his collection, and that's housed here at the community college. This card catalog is full of some 900 to 1,000 oral histories that have been completed primarily by Southeast Community College students, but you also have some by visiting scholars and past professors here like James Good, who started the oral history collection. And to me, it's really one of the centerpieces of our collection. It fits best with the mission of what a community college should be collecting, and that's the testimony of people who have lived here. Most of the tapes were made as class projects for classes at Southeast Community College, primarily the Appalachian Studies class. And so a lot of these were done by people's relatives, and so most of them are personal, but however most of them are also have signed releases which make them eligible for access by the public. People can come and listen to them, people can use them in histories they're writing, people can use them for their own research. If anybody on your tour wants to use a tape in the oral history collection, they are welcome to call and make an appointment. The phone number of the archive office is 2047, or they can call Teresa Osborne, the Appalachian Center secretary, at 2119, and both of those are at 589-2145. Other items of interest in our collection. This is not part of our collection. This is the work of Basil Townsend, which the man from Nova Scotia I talked about earlier, that we need to get back to him soon. Over this away, careful there. We have a recently acquired collection is 1,178 RPM. Actually, what am I saying? It looks like it's closer to 1,378 RPM records. These are the old single song per side records from the 20s, 30s, and 40s that preceded LPs. We also have a large collection, a modest collection of memorabilia from early and kind of 50s era country music. And these are going to be on exhibit soon, we hope. As well as interviews from area old-time country musicians, and just a collection of tapes that was swapped amongst old-time music collectors in this area and across the United States. All this material came from the collections of Charles Hamlin and Ed Ward, both of whom were Harlan Countyans and had been involved in the preservation of old-time music as laypersons for decades. Their collections came into the possession of the college just a year or two ago, and we're still in the process of turning these into public access materials, but we're very excited about the potential of them. Other things to tell people about that are back here. Commissary records from the Benham Company Store, old school annuals, a small collection. We have nowhere near a complete collection of Benham High School albums. And then, of course, the photographic archives, one of the crown jewels of our collection, the glass plate negatives from Benham and Lynch, and then a wide collection of prints from Benham and Lynch from the industrial photography that you see in the halls. Charlie, you might want to give them a look at, just if they haven't seen it, just the further range of Dr. Golden's work. This is one of my favorites. I believe, if I'm not mistaken, this would be a dinosaur footprint maker for use in one's yard. It may be Sasquatch. I don't pretend to be a zoologist. Through here we have more miscellaneous photography collections. We have access to Vic Howard's photography. Most of it's in Mississippi right now, but we still have access to it and do have several boxes of prints. We also have a modest holdings of Malcolm Wilson's photographs, a photographer raised in the Tri-Cities area, now living in Cincinnati. We also have a small exhibition of Pictureman Mullins photographs, who was a kind of an analog or a photographer who worked in a similar way to Vic Howard here in the Tri-Cities, but who worked in the Jenkins area and in Wise County area. Quilts. We've got quilts. We also have recently begun collecting white oak, willow, and reed baskets. We have about 13 baskets in our collection. Most of these were done by Bell and Leslie and Harlan County basket makers, and they came to us through the Redbird Mission. If any of your visitors are interested in traditional crafts, that's one of the great places to get them. Once they've been, of course, to Poor Fork Art and Crafts in downtown Cumberland, they'll also want to check out Redbird Mission if they have the time. They do a good job of collecting local basket makers' work and selling a high quality of baskets. Okay, why don't we take a little break and we'll reconvene back upstairs. Okay, welcome back. We're upstairs now at the Appalachian Center at Southeast Community College. Behind me you see the Arts and Crafts Studio, home to Art Professor Joe Scopa and his many students. And there, a lot of pottery gets made, a lot of painting gets done, and all our art classes are taught there. Directly in front of me here is, behind these doors, are the music rehearsal room, and that's where Professor Ann Schertz plies her craft. We also have classrooms in front of me here that double as dressing rooms, and it's an ongoing source of pride to those of us who are involved in the arts and humanities that Southeast Community College has made this commitment, full-time professors of art and music and drama, and the facilities to get the work done. And also the commitment to the archive and to Appalachian Studies are remarkable in the community college. It's something that every citizen of Harlan, Letcher, and Bell County should be very proud of, because coming from the outside the area, I know that it should be a source of pride. Remind your tour people that there are pictures all through the upstairs here that are captioned for their enlightenment or entertainment. Like I said, upstairs here, all these pictures are of Benham. Downstairs, the pictures of Lynch. Through the door to my left over here is the dance studio, which is also a room that's often used for public functions, for dinners and speakers. In addition to a regular series of speakers that we have through the Appalachian Studies program, the Appalachian Studies Speaker Series, we also have a regular slate of dramatic productions here in the Appalachian Center Theater, a performing arts series that's coordinated by Ann Schertz again, and that would include everything from, we've had Ralph Stanley as a part of the Swappin' Meeting, and we've had the Luda Washington Dance Company, an African-American dance company from Los Angeles specializing in his interpretations of history through dance, concert pianists, and the like. Our theater program and also the Swappin' Meeting are coordinated by Michael Korston, and Swappin' Meeting is festival that kind of consumes the whole college in early October, and it's a combination of crafts, booths, and demonstrations of traditional mountain arts, survival arts, you could call them, such as soap making, basket making, knife making, molasses making, sorghum making, and also some Native American displays and other fun and educational activities for the whole family. So why don't we head on out front? There are a couple more display cases out there. The Appalachian Center is, we hope, a community building. We try to make the building very accessible to community groups. Behind me you can see a meeting. I think that's some county school folks is meeting with some Southeast Community College people. But different spaces within the building have hosted wedding receptions, banquets, and other community gatherings. Our facilities director, Michael Korston, is there to help book the center for community uses. We have a small set of objects that came from the Kentucky Coal Mining Museum, and some of them are in cases upstairs here, as well as some more dulcimers, and please make people welcome to look through those. I'd also take them through the theater and just point out the fact that it's one of the only black box theaters in Eastern Kentucky, if not the only one, with the movable seats and all that. And the seats can be arranged to either be proscenium style seating, where you've got the stage on one end and all the seats on the other side facing the stage, or they can be theater in the round. It's very flexible. Other than that, I would just let them wander freely, invite them back, and encourage them to make use of the archives facilities and to come to our events, both our theater events and our performing arts events, and thank them for coming, just as I thank you for paying attention.